女生蹭吃蹭喝的经历吧，绝对不是我在污蔑女生啊。
Many guys have probably experienced being taken advantage of for free meals by some girls, right? I'm not trying to smear girls, but indeed, there are some who like to do this. They often crave tasty food and want to try various delicacies every day, but they can't afford it themselves. So, what do? It's simple. They go online to find a guy to chat with. If the guy wants to take things further, he'll suggest meeting up in person. Usually, the guy will take the initiative to treat the girl to a meal, and the girl won't even have to ask. She easily gets a free dinner. After the meal, if they hit it off, they might continue having a few more meals together. But in most cases, the girl will find an excuse, say she doesn't feel a connection with you, then walk away, or even block you outright. So, how can guys avoid becoming the fool of this kind of girl? Girls who like to mooch off meals often have the following characteristics. First, these girls are usually met online. If they are introduced by friends or met through blind dates, the chances of mooching are relatively low because they have mutual friends in between. They'll be cautious about their reputation. On the other hand, if it's a girl you met online, where both parties are strangers and have no common friends, it's like a one-time deal. After eating and then blocking you, there's no need to have any concerns. Secondly, the time they get to know you is usually short, and there isn't much mutual understanding. Some girls even take the initiative to ask you out, saying, "I feel like we get along well. How about we have a meal together and chat in person?" Many guys easily get carried away at this point, starting to fantasize about all kinds of wonderful scenarios, even bringing their ID cards in case they hit it off with the girl for further steps. So for these guys who end up being mooched off, it's actually not that bad, because they are blinded by their own lust. Actually, mooching off meals is a minor issue. If you fall into a honey trap and get framed for a serious crime, then you've really suffered a big loss. The third point is that these girls usually suggest a restaurant themselves, saying they have been there before and it's nice. These places often come with a high cost, and spending several hundred to 1,000 yuan on a meal is quite normal. The guy, for the sake of saving face, silently swallows this bitter pill. Finally, when the girl has a meal with you, she won't tell you in advance and will bring her best friend along. You originally thought you could chat about life after the meal, but she tells you that her friend is just nearby, shopping, and asks if you mind her joining. She's actually betting that you won't have the guts to refuse. Thus, the two of them mooch off a meal together, leaving you helpless. Don't even think about holding hands or hugging. You can't even say a few private words. You've been turned into a fool for sure. If guys encounter this kind of girl who mooches off meals, what should they do? It's actually quite simple. Just walk away, block and delete her, without spending a penny. Don't worry about face. She's here to scam you, and you're going to offer yourself up? If you care about face, she'll turn around and brag to her best friend, "Fooled another idiot." In the end, if you have that kind of money, why not do something that makes you happier? Why waste it in vain?
一个90年的男生约了一个98年的女生相亲哈。
The day before yesterday, a guy born in 1990 went on a blind date with a girl born in 1998 here in our area. As soon as they sat down and ordered, the girl bluntly said, "Actually, I didn't want to go on a blind date. I'm just here to satisfy my parents. They forced me to come." Upon hearing this, the guy responded without hesitation, "Then you can leave now." The girl was shocked and said, "Huh? But we just ordered." The guy then turned to the waiter and said, "Please pack up all the dishes we just ordered." The girl, seeing this scene, quickly tried to ease the atmosphere, saying, "You don't have to do this. I can take you as my brother, right?" However, the guy remained unmoved and calmly replied, "Forget it. I'm not here to gain a sister." What do you think? Was the guy right to do this?
老表，现在有这样一批女人哈，她们喜欢跟到男人后边是蹭吃蹭喝蹭玩。
I have noticed that nowadays, some women enjoy tagging along with men to mooch off their food, drinks, and even receive red envelopes and money transfers. But they themselves never contribute a penny and refuse to share the expenses. They fancy themselves as glamorous and maintain an attitude of welcoming every man. And some even actively pursue them. After enjoying the food and drinks, they start to adopt a cool demeanor, claiming that they are not the type to be easily approachable and unwilling to pursue further relationships with men. This behavior raises questions. Since you accepted the meals, drinks, red envelopes, and money transfers, why do you start acting all serious and reserved after the meal? Are men's money just blowing in the wind? Do men deserve to owe you money? Isn't the money they earn hard-earned? Of course, I'm not saying that women shouldn't go out with men for a meal. What I mean is that as women, we should be considerate. When you've accepted a man's red envelope, money transfer, and free meals, you should understand that his intentions are quite clear. If you choose to accept these favors, you should respect him and participate in the agreed activities, rather than behaving like a high-maintenance princess afterward. If you are unwilling to accept these terms, then don't attend such gatherings. Once you accept someone's kindness, you should reciprocate appropriately, maintaining a harmonious social environment rather than just enjoying without giving anything in return. I despise women who only enjoy without contributing.
有些女人你还要点脸吗？
Some women, are you really shameless? If you don't like a man, then don't accept gifts from others. If you don't like him, don't keep in touch with him. If you accept his gifts, is it because you need these things? Are you really that short of money, that poor, that pitiful? You should understand that, in a man's mind, accepting a gift means giving him hope, indicating that you are willing to date him. Do you understand? If you give someone hope but no results, that's immoral. If you really need charity, just tell the other person and ask for a bite to eat. If you disdain people claiming to be the one giving charity, then you are actually a scammer. If you accept gifts from someone pursuing you but reject their feelings, don't you think you're a fraud? Even if you meet a man you like, if you accept his gifts, at least you should reciprocate. How shameless do you have to be to take others' things so naturally and demand things so unreasonably? Nowadays, many women with a bit of looks are extremely proud. They eat and drink without worry every day, extending their hands to accept. I tell you, these women, you will eventually pay for it in the society. Once you encounter a tough man, all the things you've received before will be repaid double. You can see this in social news. Don't always think that if someone likes you and pursues you, they owe you something. Finally, I say again, don't accept red envelopes you shouldn't, and don't take gifts you shouldn't. This is the dignity and grace a woman should have. This is the basic principle of being a person. Be kind and know that your reputation is important. Don't let others think that you are just a woman who scams food, drinks, and money.
在厂里上班，不要以为女孩子跟你约个会。
To my factory-working brothers, don't think that if a girl asks you out or smiles at you, it means she likes you. She might just want you to pay for her meals or spend money on her. For example, a friend of mine from the dormitory had such an experience. 2 years ago, he met a girl at the factory, and they went to work, ate and drank together every day. They seemed to be happy and affectionate every day, hugging and cuddling. To win her favor, my friend spent his entire monthly salary on her, buying cosmetics, clothes, and bags. After exhausting his salary, he even borrowed money everywhere and took out online loans, obsessively pursuing this girl as if he were possessed. Every day when he returned to the dormitory, the first thing he did was look in the mirror, fix his hair, and then show a smug smile. Whenever the girl sent a message, he would excitedly show his phone to his dormitory friends, asking them to analyze what the girl's message meant. He often fantasized about how he would be with this girl. This went on for 3 or 4 months. Until one day when the girl announced she was leaving the job, my friend also wanted to leave with her. He decided to confess his feelings to her. Can you guess what the girl said? She said, "You're a great guy, but we're not compatible. I only see you as a friend." This infuriated my friend, and he started throwing things around. He felt that after treating her so well, she only saw him as a friend. Why didn't she tell him earlier that she didn't like him, causing him to spend so much money? Seeing his reaction, the girl said nothing more and directly blocked him. In reality, many girls in factories are like this. They understand that men like them, accept gifts and meals, but in the end, they say they only see the other person as a friend. I think such women don't consider others as friends but as fools and cash cows. So, brothers, we need to be cautious of such types of women when pursuing them.
其实不喜欢出来相亲的原因有一个就是
One reason I actually dislike participating in blind dates is that many men misunderstand the purpose of women going on these dates, thinking they are just out to enjoy a free meal and drinks. Some men feel wronged and resentful after spending hundreds of dollars on a meal, only because the woman isn't interested in them. For example, I once saw a sister in a blind date group sharing her experience. She had a meal with a guy where he paid for the meal and she paid for the drinks. Later, She felt they weren't a good match and explained the situation to the guy. However, the guy then demanded that she split the meal cost with him and threatened to expose her in the group, accusing her of being a free meal person. This situation leaves me feeling very helpless. Actually, issues regarding meal costs and other expenses can be discussed in advance. The purpose of going on a blind date should be to find a suitable partner, not just to have a meal. Because of such situations, I used to avoid having meals during blind dates as much as possible. If drinks were necessary, I preferred inexpensive places like Mishue Bingqing. Therefore, this form of blind dating sometimes really bothers me.
Question of whether to split the bill on a blind date or in a relationship is worth discussing. From my perspective, I generally choose to split the bill, especially on a blind date. This is because on a blind date, you are meeting the other person for the first time, and if things don't work out, it might be your only meeting. In such a case where both parties are strangers, splitting the bill is a reasonable arrangement. However, if after the blind date you feel positively about the other person and are willing to continue seeing them, I personally believe that, in this case, the man's contribution to the meal costs could be 60% while the woman's could be 40%. This arrangement not only helps maintain the relationship but also sets the stage for the next date. For example, if the man covers the cost of this meal, the woman can cover the movie tickets next time. Or, if the man paid for this meal, the woman could handle the cost of something else. Whether it's a blind date or a relationship, I always think it is important to maintain an equal relationship between both parties. I do not support splitting every cost precisely or insisting on splitting everything equally. This could potentially harm the relationship. If the man is always paying or the woman is always paying, the relationship might not last long. Therefore, I believe the best approach is for the man to contribute 60% in the relationship while the woman contributes 40%. This arrangement can keep the relationship balanced. What do you think?
Let me share my experience of being taken advantage of during a blind date. In May 2020, my parents introduced me to a girl from Tuanchang. Before we met, she mentioned that she wanted to bring a friend along for the date. At that time, I wasn't very familiar with the concept of blind dating, so I just wanted to make sure they felt welcome. However, after they arrived and had a meal prepared by my mother, they expressed a desire to eat out instead. I knew that dining out would be more expensive, but I had some money at the time, so I decided to take them out for a meal. We also booked them a fairly nice hotel since they had traveled quite a distance from Tuanchang and decided to stay a few more days. At that time I was rather naive, and as a result they stayed in the hotel for 4 days, which cost me over 6,000 yuan. We dined on high-end cuisine such as lobster, with each meal costing over 1,000 yuan. In the end, the girl not only did not make any effort to engage with me, but I didn't even get to hold her hand. Eventually she just left after a few days. This experience was by far the worst I've ever had with blind dating.
Indeed, there are some unethical practices in the Chinese matchmaking market these days. Some women use matchmaking services as an excuse to scam free meals, drinks, money transfers, and gifts, and even consider this behavior as a matter of course. It's really disheartening. Men need to be vigilant and guard against these women using matchmaking to get free meals and drinks. A friend of mine's matchmaking company recently hosted a 28-year-old woman. This woman truly opened my eyes. She works in insurance, has an average appearance, and is somewhat experienced in the local matchmaking scene. However, she has remained single and feels very wronged about her situation. She initially complained to me and my friend, saying that out of the men she has met through matchmaking services, 8 out of 10 are extremely stingy. I told her that's not the case. Local men are actually quite generous. She responded by saying that men who bring gifts to matchmaking meetings are very rare, and those who transfer money are almost non-existent. She and her best friend have been on numerous matchmaking dates, and the only time she received a gift was when she heavily hinted at a necklace at a shopping center, which the man eventually bought. She also mentioned that men who transfer money to women are nearly non-existent. Her best friend once received a 1,314 yuan transfer from a man on Valentine's Day, but because the man was too stingy, her friend chose to break up. These complaints made me realize that she and her friend are typical examples of matchmaking parasites. She continued to complain that many men don't even know which direction the doors of high-end restaurants and Japanese food places open, and yet come out to pursue women. She asked me, with a look of grievance, why these men want to pursue women but are unwilling to spend money, only wanting to take advantage. I was infuriated and directly countered. If you've been on so many matchmaking dates, why are you still single? Have you ever considered if there's something wrong with you? She gave me an innocent look and said she just wants to find a man willing to spend money on her, but hasn't encountered one. She doesn't understand what her problem is. I told her that her biggest problem is that her standards are too low and her expectations are too modest. Because her requirements are so cheap, it's hard for her to meet a man willing to spend money on her. I suggested she consider cosmetic surgery and fitness to improve her own conditions, and then go back to matchmaking. This way, she can directly demand that men buy her a house and a car. Finally, I said she must find such a man and decisively avoid other men. After saying this, I advised her to withdraw, and my friend's company ultimately did not take her matchmaking business. I feel her mother failed to give her proper education, leading to this matchmaking parasite mentality. Such people are not worth continuing to serve. Do you think what I did was right? Feel free to leave your comments. I would love to hear your opinion. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Your support is very important to us, and we will continue to provide you with better content. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.